Welcome to After the Last Dog. I'm Dara, and I've spent years working with groomers and pet care business owners, and I keep noticing the same problems show up over and over and over again. After the Last Dog is where we talk about the business side of grooming after the appointments are done and the things owners end up solving over and over and over again. Each episode looks at one problem area, what may be causing it, and one small solution you can use in your own business this week. A busy salon still needs a business behind it. Today's episode is all about why do they keep asking you when they already know what to do. And we're going to use a real salon example. And I would imagine that all of you have a cleaning checklist. It is posted, it's printed, it could be beautifully laminated and hanging on the wall in the exact perfect spot that everyone can see it. You have gone over it more times than you care to think about, that you have it memorized, and still someone comes to you and asks, "What still needs to be done? Do, do you want me to clean that? Do I need to clean that? Or who is supposed to do the laundry again?" And inside, you're asking these questions as your eyes are rolling in the back of your head and you're thinking, the list, it's right there. It's right there. Or maybe you're thinking, I've already told them this 1,000 times. Why does everything come back to me, right? This is the part we are really talking about today, not the cleaning checklist. That just happens to be the example. The bigger problem is your team keeps bringing repeat questions back to you, even when the answers are already there. So today, we're going to look at what happens, why you are not alone in this situation, and one small reset or solution you can use this week to start moving those answers out of your head and into a standard your team can actually follow. So let's start with the moment again, okay? It's the end of the day. You have been grooming dogs all day, answering clients. You've checked on a dog that was nervous. You had to fix a schedule. You've answered the phone a million times, sent back text messages, looking at emails, helping someone with a dog. And then you probably made a bunch of decisions that you really didn't plan on having to make. Now the day is starting to wind down and you're ready to close and go home and have a glass of wine. And then someone says, "What needs to be done? What else needs to happen? What's going on here? What should I do?" And you look over at the cleaning list, beautifully laminated on your wall. It says exactly what needs to be done. Right there, sweep the floors, wipe the tubs, clean the tables, start the laundry, take out the trash, restock the stations, shampoos, blah, blah, bloody blah, right? You know, they all know it. Everybody knows, empty the hair traps, right? What else needs to be done? This is not a hidden thing. It's clear. It's right there. It's not complicated, right? It is not complicated. This is nothing new. And yet the question still comes back to you. Now, from the outside, someone might say, "Well, just tell them to read the checklist. It's easy. Go look at the checklist." But if you own or you're managing, you could be a manager too, a grooming business, you know it's not that simple, right? You know it's not that simple because this is not just about one question. This is about the pattern. The pattern. It's the feeling that every decision, every single reminder, every little step has to move through you first as the owner. It's the feeling that people can see the work, and you know they can see the work, but they still wait for you to say it. It's the feeling that Even when you created a list to make things easier for yourself and for them, the list does not get used unless you're standing there pointing at it. It's right there. There it is. Oh my God, look, there it is. And you have to point at it. And that is so exhausting. It's exhausting because you are not asking for someone or for something. I'm sorry. You are not asking for something impossible, right? You are asking the people who work in the salon to help close it down for the night. That's it. It's simple. It's that easy. You're asking them to notice what needs to be done. That's it. Look around. Just take an eye it down, right? You're just noticing that. You're asking them to use the list that's already there. That's it. This is so reasonable. I mean, it's like so reasonable, right? So if this is happening in your business, I want you to know first thing, you're not the only one. This happens. It is so common. I see it all the time. And I see it clear as day because I was that person. And it is especially common in businesses where the owner has been named the main problem solver by the team for a very long time. Your team has gotten used to your answers. They get used to your memory. They get used to your eye and forget they can use their own. They get used to your standards and they get used to the fact that you can look around and you look around that salon and you instantly know what's missing, what needs to happen, what needs to be done. And because you can answer quickly, people keep asking because it is so much easier to ask you than it is to walk over to that list and read through it. It's that simple. The business has taught them that the fastest way to move forward and finish their day is to come to you. This is the pattern we're talking about resetting and setting a solution for. Now, let's talk about what you may think is happening because I do not want to skip over this part. When someone asks what needs to be done while standing shoulder distance away from the checklist, it can really feel and look ridiculous. It feels almost disrespectful. It feels like, God, are you even thinking? Like, it's right there. It feels like they're waiting for you to take the responsibility, and they are. And you may be thinking, oh, they just don't care. They should already know this. I have shown them this so many times. Oh my gosh, I have told them this 100 times. Why do I feel like I am babysitting adults? Right? Has that gone through your mind? And then comes the owner thought that shows up in so many businesses. It is just faster if I do it myself. And that is the most dangerous thought you can have because even though we know it's true, in that moment, yes, it might be faster for you to do it. It may be faster for you to go and wipe out the tubs and start the laundry and do everything that needs to be done yourself. But the same questions again are being answered, and there is no expectation. And when that happens every day, the team is learning over and over and over again that the owner is the only one with the answers. They are the only ones that can do the reminder. They are the only ones that can do the final check. And they are the person who decides what matters most. And then little by little, that keeps snowballing and everything keeps coming back to you. This is why a small question at the end of the day can feel so oppressive because it's not really about the task. It really isn't, because they know what the task is. It is the feeling that the business cannot go forward without your brain behind it. That is what wears owners down. And you are not wrong for being frustrated or for wanting people to look around and just use some common sense. You are not wrong for expecting adults to follow a list. But frustration by itself does not create a new pattern or create new habits. So today, you are going to move from frustration into structure. Here is how the reset or the solution is going to look and how we are tackling this problem, okay? The issue is not that your team does not know. We know that. It's not that they don't know anything, because the issue is that your team has learned to bring uncertainty to you before they use the standard. That's the difference. Because when we say they don't know what to do, the answer sounds more like training. But they do know, because they have already had that. They know there's a checklist. They know cleaning has to happen. They know the salon needs to be ready for tomorrow. But they still ask, because asking you has become one of the ways the salon runs. The pattern sounds like this. When unsure, ask the owner. When something is, I don't know, a little questionable, ask the owner. When no one wants to take ownership of it or be held responsible, ask the owner. When the checklist is right there, but, I just don't know what to do, ask the owner. When someone doesn't want to be wrong, ask the owner. When someone does not want to do more than everyone else, ask the owner. And every time you answer, the day moves forward and continues to progress. So it looks like the problem is being solved, but it's really the pattern is just getting stronger and stronger. The team asks, you answer. They get relief. You made the decision, and tomorrow they will probably do it again. This is why I don't want you to hear today's episode as you need a better checklist, because that's not it at all. Maybe you do, but that's not what we're talking about, because that's not the main point of this. The main point of this is a checklist tells people what tasks exist. The standard tells people how to act without you. That is the difference. A checklist says, clean the bathing area. A standard says, here is who cleans the bathing area. Here is what a clean bathing area looks like. And here is when you need to come get me if there's a question. A checklist says, sweep the floors. The standard says, each person sweeps their station. Then the last closing person checks the full salon and does a no visible hair check under tables, around tubs, and in corners or in the front area. A checklist says, do the laundry. The standard says, the final towel load must be started by the time we leave. Wet towels cannot be left overnight. And the closing person confirms laundry is moved into dryer before leaving. Do you hear the difference in that? The checklist is the reminder. The standard is the answer. And when the standard is clear, the owner does not have to be reminded every single time and answering the questions all the time. You are no longer saying, why didn't you clean this? You are not standing there trying to explain what clean means again. You can point to the standard and say, this is what a finished job looks like. What part still needs to be done before you leave? That turns the moment into follow through conversation instead of another reminder from the owner, right? Is that making sense? Now let's talk about why this shows up so often. Okay, these grooming businesses, they are busy. They are physical. They are emotional, right? All of these things. There are so many full flat moving parts, dogs and clients and days not ever look the same. A groom turns longer than it needs to be. A dog has a skin issue. Something happens. A client's running late. Somebody calls in. A dryer stops working. The bather gets behind. I mean, so what happens? You, as the owner, you get really good at solving all these little things, right? You step in, and that is part of how you built this business. You saw what needed to be done, you saw what was happening, and you handled it. But the same skill that helps you build the business can also trap you inside every daily answer. Because if the owner always sees it first and says, okay, we're going to do this, then you're fixing it first and you decide it first. The team does not have to build that muscle memory. And we talk a lot about muscle memory when we're scissoring, right? So the team doesn't have to build that muscle memory. They wait, they ask, they check with you, they look busy until you direct them. And then the owner starts thinking, here we go again. Why can't they just do what needs to be done? Okay. And the answer to that is sometimes they've not been taught how to own the next step. They have been taught the task, but they've not been taught the decision path. That doesn't come to everyone naturally, which is very common, especially with cleaning, because cleaning can feel and look different to everybody. And what's obvious to one person may not be obvious to another. And especially what's obvious to us may not be obvious to our entire team. So the owner sees a dirty tub and thinks the tub is not done. Right? Someone else sees that same tub and thinks, I rinsed it. Good enough. The owner sees hair in the corner and thinks, oh, the floor wasn't swept. Someone else walks in the area and says, oh, that looks done. Main area is done. Check. All right, off we go. You see, or the owner sees the laundry sitting wet and thinks, oh, that is going to smell so bad tomorrow. Who left it? Why didn't somebody move that? And someone else thinks, I started the load, so someone else will deal with that part. Does not mean they are trying to get away with doing anything less or not doing something at all. Sometimes they do not understand your finish line. Okay. Your finish line. This is what it looks like when it's done. And sometimes they understand it, but no one is assigned to it. And sometimes we need to assign things to roles. So they ask instead. And when they ask you, you become the finish line. That is what we are trying to change today in this lesson. So here is your business reset and solution of the day. And this one is the before you ask me reset. This is a simple reset for repeat questions, right? Not all questions are this. You do not want your team to not ask good questions. You want them to speak up if a pet is unsafe, or to ask if a client is upset, or you want them to come to you if something changes with a dog, a service, the pricing, whatever it is, right? The goal is not to make your team stop asking questions. The goal is to teach them what to check before they come to you. So when the same question keeps coming back to you, that creates a simple before you ask me path, right? Path less followed, path more followed, that path. And we're going to have that in 3 parts. Number 1, which should they check first? Before they ask you what needs to be cleaned, they should check the posted closing list, the checklist, right? Before they ask who is doing the laundry, They should check the closing assignment checklist. Before they ask if the bathing area is done, they should compare it to what done looks like to you. It's simple. Maybe it's a picture so that they can see what the picture is. This is where the owners get stuck because in your mind, you may think, they should just know. But if you want people to act without you, you have to tell them what decisions they're allowed to make. People don't want to make decisions without knowing if they can do that. For cleaning, that might sound like if your area is finished and someone else is start working, you can move to the next unfinished task on the list. Or if the trash is full, take it out. You don't need to ask me. Take it out. Maybe it's if towels are wet, you have all the authority to move them into the dryer. You do not need approval to do that. Simple things, but simple does not mean unnecessary. Clear permission helps people act. When do they need to bring it to you? This matters really because you are not trying to disappear completely. Maybe you are, but you're not trying to disappear completely. You're trying to stop being used for every repeatable question, right? Or to be used for every answer. So you define when they really do need you. For cleaning, this is going to look like come to me if something is broken, if there's something missing, or if you can't complete the task before closing. That gives them a finish line themselves. This tells them when it's time to come ask you questions. They don't need to ask you, should they take the trash out? They don't need you to tell them that the trash needs to be taken out, but they do need to tell you if the trash can't go out because the back door lock is stuck. They don't need to ask you if the tub should be wiped out, but they should tell you or come to you if the tub is clogged or there's a leak. That is the big difference. And this is what we want your team to learn, okay? Now we're going to go back to the cleaning checklist example, and we're going to continue this because the repeat question is what needs to be done, okay? Instead of answering that question again, we're going to turn this into a standard. And here's what it might look like. So, because everybody's going to have a different one. So that's why these are just examples. I want to show you how we close because I'm still getting asked what needs to be done when the checklist is already posted. I do want you to keep asking questions, but I also need us to use this standard that's being set before coming to me. So from now on, before you ask what needs to be done, I want you to check 3 things. Then you're going to name your 3 things, right? First, check the closing list. Second, check your assigned area. Third, compare it to what our done, air quoting our done, looks like. Then you show them what that means. And that might mean for the bathing area, done means tubs are rinsed, everything's put up. It's wiped down, drains, cleans, shampoo, bottles, wet towels, hair off the floor, whatever that looks like in your salons. And that this area is ready for the first dog tomorrow to walk through the door. Ready for the first dog to walk through the door tomorrow. That is a clear picture because now clean means different because it does mean different to everybody, but now you're setting what clean actually means and looks like, and that it has to be ready for the first dog tomorrow. And that gives them a better understanding and a look at what your air quote done is. Then you explain when they come to you, you come to me if something's broken, if something's unsafe, if supplies are missing, if you can't complete the task before we leave. But if the question is just what needs to be done next, the first step is check the standard. Now, notice the tone. You're not scolding anybody. And nobody's in trouble. You're not saying, I can't believe I have to explain this all over again. You're not giving a long speech about work ethics and how everyone should just know what to do, right? You are resetting the path. You are saying, here is the answer, and here is where this answer lives. That is the moment your team learns where the answer lives. The less you have to answer, the less the answer lives in you. So the more they understand, the better. Now I want to talk about the owner part of this, because this is where this can really become uncomfortable. When someone asks you something, they should already know your habit already is to answer the question. And you answer the question quickly and automatically because it's also a habit and built into you. And that's because you're busy and you know the answer. And it's easier to answer the question because you want the day to continue to progress. But if you are trying to change this pattern, you and your response has to change as well. So instead of answering, sweep, laundry, tubs, trash, you say it, I'm saying it, yeah, la, 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 do everything here. Check the closing standard first. Tell me what part you don't understand. That one sentence changes the whole pattern. Let me say it again. Check the closing standards first. Tell me what part you don't understand. You're not being rude. You're not refusing help. You're not leaving them unsupported. You are training them to use the standard before they use you. Just like with anything else, this takes work. It is work. It's hard to do because if you answer every time, the checklist continues to stay optional. That standard remains extremely weak, and your brain stays the real system. This is why owners can have a posted list and still be the one everyone comes to. The list is on the wall. That one right there. Yep, that list. It's just that. It's a list because the authority still lives in you. The reset and the solution is to move some of that authority back to the standard, which then again points back to the list. And again, this does not mean people are never to ask you anything. It means repeat questions now have a path. And over time, that path protects your time, your energy, and your team. So here is how to use this in your own salon this week. Do not start fixing everything. Do not start rewriting checklists. Do not rewrite the whole closing process. Do not build a huge manual, not that no one is going to read or even look at. Start with one question, one repeat question you have to answer the most. And for today, we are going to do the what needs to be done, right? That's our question for what we're going to answer for. And then you're going to write a simple, before you ask me, air quote, before you ask me, standard, right? Here is your template. Before you ask me what needs to be done, check the closing list. Check your assigned area and compare the area to what our done looks like. Then define what done looks like for the one area. Just one. Maybe the bathing area, lobby, grooming, stations, whatever it is, whatever that looks like, the laundry, whatever that looks like for you. Pick the area that comes back to you the most. Then write these 3 lines. Number 1, task, closing the bathing area. Okay. Owner, Who's the owner of this? Not you as the owner, but who is doing this? This could be the last bather working is the one who's closing the bathing area. You have to really know your roles and job descriptions really well. And that's another topic we'll talk about on down the line, but you have to know those roles to be able to assign these jobs for the descriptions, right? So then finish line. Done means what? What does that look like? Tubs rinsed and wiped, right? I don't need to go into all of that with you. You know what you know and what your shop should look like when they're leaving. Add a picture. There's that picture. Boom. This is what it should look like every night when you leave. Here it is. If it doesn't look like this, nobody leaves. Simple. And that's enough to start. And then you're going to take a few minutes with the team. We're not having a lecture, not a team meeting. Nope. Just a few minutes. All right, here we go. I want to show you one part of the closing list and what I would like it to look like moving forward so that you are no longer wondering what needs to be done. And I don't have to keep answering the same questions over and over and over again at the end of the day, right? Then show them the standard. Walk to the area, point out what done looks like. Starting today, this is what we are checking against every time we leave here. This is the implementation step. Simple and repeatable. And when the question comes back, because it's going to, it's not going to go away right away. You calmly point them back to the standard, check the closing standard first, tell me what part is unclear still. That is how you build a new habit. Not by saying it once, not by showing it once, but by calmly sending the question back to the structure until the structure becomes normal habit. Here is your reflection question for the day. What is the one question your team keeps asking that they probably already know the answer to? And then you are going to ask yourself, does my team know what to check first? Do they know what they can decide without me? Do they know when they actually need to bring it to me? If the answer is no to any of those, that is your business reset solution that needs a clean, clear path and more than go ask the owner. That is how you stop being the answer to every repeat question. Okay, that was a lot. That's it for today's episode of After the Last Dog. Before you move on to the next thing, take a minute and ask yourself, where is this same problem showing up in my business? Where do people keep coming back to you, even though the answer should already be known? You do not have to fix the whole business today. Start with one standard, one conversation, one decision. That's going to make things easier next time. For today, that is it. Take one repeat question and turn it into a before you ask me standard. What should they check first? What can they decide without you? What do they need to bring it to you? When do they need to bring it to you? And you can read more about this in this week's companion blog at the Business Edge of the Shear, where I break down how to turn the repeat staff questions into the salon standards your team can actually use. The goal is to stop solving the same problem over and over and over again. Pick one thing from today's episode and try it this week. I look forward to seeing you and seeing you the next time.